Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Paranormal Graveyard. I am your host, Roger Belt, and my partner host is Miss Christina Corsetti.
Hello, everybody.
And before we start this, and I told my team leader, Dusty Ward, that we was going to do this on the show tonight. He didn't, so I don't know if he's listening or not, but one of my teammates, Tom Hunt, is in the chat room, and he asked me when he come on. He goes, you ever been humiliated by a ghost?" Anyway, last night we did an investigation, and we were getting like little hits every now and then on K2 in the basement, and it answered to that it was a soldier, and I think we pretty much have pinpointed that he fought for the Union side in the Civil War. And he don't like certain people, and he would answer to that, and this odd stuff. And it was getting kind of boring. He wasn't hitting anymore, and we were standing around, and so I just said, Dusty Ward's a pain in the ass, ain't he? And it went plumb to the red and stayed there for a couple of minutes. And then Dusty's like, "Oh my God."
It goes all the way to the red.
Dusty talks with this real country southern drawl accent, right? So you gotta do it like him. "Oh my God." And we started laughing, and Tom and I were laughing, and we're like, "Yeah, that's really funny, ain't it?" And it kept lighting up and go plumb to red. And it would go back and forth like it was laughing with us, and we laughed so hard. And this went on for about 30 minutes. And I say, "Yeah," and I'd bring it back up again and say, "Yeah, he's a real pain in the ass," and it'd bite up again. And then we start laughing, and then it start going back and forth, up and down. It was hilarious. I mean, you would have had to see something like that. And hopefully, we had our DVR camera set up where it was showing it. So hopefully, when I get that done, I can put it up, and you can see the lights going up and down on it when we're talking or whatever. That'd be funny. But
I'd love to see that.
But it was funny. That was the highlight of the whole night, actually.
I can only imagine.
It was. We stayed in the basement most of the time we were there. We went upstairs, and I don't think there was anything at all going on up there. We may have one EVP of a little girl, and I told you about that, Christine, earlier.
Yeah.
We're not really sure what it's saying. I'm going to have to break it down and try to slow it down maybe or something to see if we can understand what it's saying. But that was about the only thing I think that we got upstairs. But anyway, it was a good time. We hadn't been out on an investigation in a little while, so we were all jumping at the bit, so to speak, to do something anyway. It rained like I don't know what when we were there for the most part. I'm talking, as Forrest Gump said, big fat raindrops. And they were hitting the metal roof, and it's like pow, 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 pow. Sound like machine guns going off. I think it hailed a little bit. Anyway, we're talking about curses, cursed objects, cursed people, cursed land, you name it, if it was cursed.
Cursed movies.
Yeah, cursed movie. Anything that has a curse or is supposed to have curse, we're going to talk about some of that stuff. And so if you like that, you're interested in curses and all this kind of thing, be prepared. Christina's going to give us the opening paragraph that has to do with this.
Yeah, well, we got a great show for you guys tonight. Basically, curses have been wreaking hypothetical havoc for centuries. These pesky and sometimes deadly bearers of bad luck have plagued persons, places, and objects ranging from U.S. presidents and ancient tombs to sports teams and sports cars. And throughout the years, tragic events, coincidental or not, have provided plenty of fodder for those who believe that curses exist. So, Roger, let's go off with the first.
All right. Now, uh, the first thing we're going to talk about is the cursed car of Franz Ferdinand. A Graft and Swift was the most luxurious automobile. I'm not sure if I said that right.
It's the Graf and Stift. Yeah.
Yeah. In the early 1900s, when a Archduke Franz Ferdinand went on that fateful state visit to Bosnia with his wife, he took his new red Graf and Swift limousine. While driving through the crowded streets, a black hand gunman approached the open touring car, firing the shots that killed the two passengers. The deaths of the Archduke and his wife were just the beginning of a series of tragedies connected to this automobile. Some say that Archduke and Sophie left a ghostly imprint on the car. Regardless of whether this is true or not, the car is still cursed. And I can see that happening, yeah. The first owner after the Archduke's death was a General Poderick. Maybe I got that right. He developed mental problems and later died in an insane asylum. An army captain who was the next owner died in an accident after hitting and killing two peasants on the road. The governor of Yugoslavia bought the car. He had 4 accidents in 4 months while driving the car. The last resulted in the amputation of his right arm.
Yeah.
The governor sold the car to a doctor who lost his life when the car overturned and crushed him. Dang.
That's definitely cursed.
With each successive owner, the tragedies continued. They were either injured or killed in accidents while in possession of the car. And all 13 people associated with the car died. It was then taken out of service. Today, this supposedly haunted Graft and Sift automobile is displayed at the War History Museum in Vienna, and the bullet holes from the assassination are still visible.
Yeah. So that's just a story basically of one tragedy after another for whoever owned the car.
And the thing about it, and that's one of the things about curses, if you believe in them strongly enough, they will affect you. I don't care who you are. But if you have a vehicle that, and this curse may have not been placed on the vehicle by an individual, whatever, but the imprint of tragedy is placed on the vehicle so that the vehicle just keeps having tragedies over and over and over, no matter who owns it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's really interesting how that stuff works. Okay, on to the next one.
Well, we have John F. Kennedy's limousine, the SS-100X. This car is said to be haunted by the former president. The SS-100X was a Secret Service name given to President John F. Kennedy's navy blue 1961 Lincoln 74A convertible. Now that ain't a car, right?
Yeah.
The Lincoln featured $200,000 worth of modifications, but oddly enough, no bulletproofing. There were several domes that fit over the top of the convertible, but all made the cabin extremely hot without adding any real protection. It was this Lincoln that First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy, the Texas governor, and his wife sat in on November 22nd, 1963, when 3 shots fired from a book depository ended the president's life. Surprisingly, the Lincoln was kept in service another 8 years after Kennedy's death. So in 1967, the presidential limo was replaced, but the 1961 Lincoln was kept in the fleet for less important duties until it retired to the Henry Ford Museum in Michigan in about 1978. This car still is on display. There is rumors that it is haunted. An apparition dressed in gray has been seen standing near the car. And that's about all the information that I have on that. But they say the car's haunted.
Well, yeah, I could see that. I mean, you had a tragic death take place in this automobile. I could see the spirit hanging around there.
Oh, absolutely.
And especially if he liked the car.
How could you not? I mean, that's a hot car.
I'm saying, if you like an object, that's the thing about attachments.
Yeah, and like you said, it's like imprint energy.
Yeah. If he loved that car and everything, you know, maybe he didn't have anything else he wanted to hang around for, so he just hangs around for the car.
Hmm. But that
Anyway,
car is considered to be cursed.
yes. James Dean. Everybody knows who James Dean is, or I'm sure you do. He had a Porsche 500 Spider, and I saw a Spider today, matter of fact.
Nice.
Definitely one of the most famous and well-documented cases of creepy cars. Y'all, in intense. What's that word? Intensify. Creepy. You gotta love the creepy. Okay. It says definitely one of the most famous and well-documented cases of creepy cars is the one that witnessed James Dean's death.
Hmm.
Actor James Dean loved racing, and his love ultimately caused his demise. In a horrific accident on his way to a race in C.A. Dean's Porsche 550 Spider lost control and flipped into a gully, killing Dean and severely injuring his passenger. The car, dubbed Little Bastard by the actor, would be nothing but bad luck after Dean's death. Dean's friend and famous car customizer, George Barris, took the remains of the Spider and sold parts out to other drivers. Barris sold the engine and drivetrain to two doctors who entered cars carrying the parts in the same race in CA.
California.
During the race, both crashed horribly and one of the doctors was killed. Barris eventually began to believe in the curse and gave the car to the California Highway Patrol. They attempted to display Dean's car as a warning to careless drivers, but more bad luck followed. The first place it was displayed was a garage, which promptly burned down, leaving only Little Bastard standing in the smoldering debris. That little bastard, I can't get over it. On its way to a high school, Little Bastard broke free from the truck hauling it and caused another fatal accident. CHP moved it to a stand at yet another high school where the car fell and broke a student's hip. While in transit, the Spider fell off of its trailer a total of 3 times, crushing a truck driver. The car also injured 2 thieves who tried to pry out the steering wheel and blood-stained seats. Finally, the CHP had enough of Little Bastard and attempted to return the wreckage to Barris, but it vanished mysteriously off the back of a flatbed truck en route and hasn't been seen since.
That's not amazing.
So Little Bastard did all this damage, and then the Little Bastard vanished.
He vanished. That's cute. Yeah, but just think of it like, other cars that got the parts of this vehicle
Yeah.
were in what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for?
The parts were sold off and put in different race cars.
Yeah, basically they both crashed horribly due to the fact that they had Little Bastard's parts in them, So it was like anything that was around this car was just doomed.
Was Little Bastard, I love that. Okay. So The conjure chest. Tell us about it.
Sure. About 150 years ago, a wealthy man named Jacob Cooley ordered his African American slave to build a chest for his first child. After the slave finished making the chest, he showed it to Cooley. It was said that Cooley became so enraged over it that he beat the slave to death. While after hearing of the death, Cooley's other slaves made a pact to avenge their friend. They scattered the blood of an owl over the chest and had a conjure man curse it. From then on, the family was cursed with multiple deaths. Cooley's firstborn son died as a baby, and eventually more than 17 deaths were attributed to the cursed chest. The curse is said to have been lifted by a conjure woman, and the chest can now be seen at the Kentucky History Museum.
Wow.
So you got to be careful, especially antiques. You know what I mean? You got to, when you buy any antiques, you never know what you're getting.
If you're dealing in antiques or if you're dealing in rare commodities, strange looking things, well, you never know where they come from or what's been done with them.
You never have any idea. That's why I always post that you should always, bless and, do a ritual. Yeah, cleanse it
Yeah.
before you bring it into your home, because you never know what's attached to it.
Exactly. Now, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, so help me out here. Morai.
Yep, Morai.
Warrior mask.
Morai.
Okay. The Morai are people in New Zealand who used to carve out masks and statues prior to heading into battle. According to the Morai belief system, any man who died in battle would leave his soul behind in one of the warrior masks. While the curse of the mask poses no threat to other men, women who are pregnant or currently menstruating and are said to be cursed with harm or bad luck if they even get near one, an English museum even posted a warning to women to let them know about the curse. So what's that saying basically, that a pregnant woman or whatever?
Yeah, they have some curse out there. I mean, some masks, and I guess while the curse poses no threat to others, women who are pregnant or currently menstruating are said to be cursed with harm or bad luck. So they don't want any women to come near these masks wherever they have them. And I guess they have to put out a warning to say, hey, if you're pregnant or anything, you're going to get cursed and have a lot of bad luck if you come near these masks.
That's crazy.
I wonder where they found them.
I don't know, but they're battle masks, right? I mean, they were.
Yeah, the Maori belief system. They found them. From men that died in battle, they found them out there. The warrior mask.
So they wore them in battle, and because of that, pregnant women can't be near them.
Correct.
I don't get that, really.
Must be the type of curse it is.
I would figure that if another person wore it into battle, they would be cursed by it. I don't see how it would have anything to do with a pregnant woman.
Well, we'll have to look that one up now, won't we?
Just my idea. But anyway.
Well, we have the Koh-i-Noor diamonds. The Koh-i-Noor diamond is an impressive 109 carats. But it also comes with a hefty curse if you're a man. See, this is a man's curse now, Roger. While it brings good luck to any female owner, the diamond has brought strife and violence to men who have it in their possession, since it was supposedly stolen from the god Krishna. Sir Sai Suri of India was a powerful emperor who defeated Prince Humayun. After getting his hand on the Koh-i-Noor diamond, he died in a cannon explosion. His son, Jalal Khan, was then murdered by his own brother-in-law. So basically, this is one for the men now. If you go near this diamond, you're pretty much in trouble. But it's good luck to any female that owns it.
Okay.
We'll take pictures of these things. I'd post them up.
So what if my wife had the diamond and I was near her? Is it going to curse me?
Well, it says any man that's near it.
Well,
It brings strife and violence to men who have it in their possession. So if your wife has it, it's still in your possession, right? Or it would have to be in your hands only? That's a good question.
I would just be there.
I would
Okay.
think that's still in your possession.
Yeah,
Still in the house, right?
yeah, I'd be in the house. Yeah, okay. No diamond in the house. Terracotta Army. I like this. In 1974, a group of 7 Chinese farmers uncovered an astonishing archaeological treasure, an army of terracotta soldiers beneath the ground. However, while the discovery led to riches for the nation, the farmers who found the terracotta army were doomed to death and unfortunate circumstances. 3 of the farmers died within a few decades, relatively young, one by his own hand. The remaining farmers were resigned to work for lower wages, selling figurines of the army and riddled with debt and medical ailments. Now, I've seen pictures of the terracotta soldiers.
Yeah, that's amazing what they found. Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, rows and rows of them.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
think that they were supposed to be protecting the emperor or whatever on his journey to the other side.
Now, is it because they dug them up and they were in their possession is why they were had misfortune? Or was it just, yeah, that's what I
Well,
can only assume, right?
I don't know how would you look at that? Maybe
Well, if I'm disturbing something that's cursed in
yeah,
the
yeah,
ground,
they weren't meant to be disturbed. It may just be like bad luck fell on them because they're the ones that uncovered them and disturbed them. And I think that when they were digging them all up, digging them out, some of them got damaged, of course, and that may could have also had something to do with the wrath of whatever. But um, I just think it's really weird that they would create, like, there was probably 1,000 of them, and all in rows like they were an army going out in front of the emperor or whatever.
yeah, William in chat says that isn't a curse. It is a country that knows their citizens are disposable. China doesn't recognize land ownership for peasants. Very
Uh,
interesting.
well, now ask yourself though, had that land been farmed for like for years and nobody knew they were down there, how did these farmers dig down far enough to dig them up?
Depends how far down they were. I mean, you're
Yeah.
far farming, you got farmland, you got to dig up, the ground. Maybe they were
Yeah, but
just,
usually when you're farming, you disc or plow, and that's only a few inches down.
yeah, that's not far.
You know, I would have assumed they would have been more than a few inches below the ground, unless they weren't originally covered up, and that just time, the sand and dirt, what have you, shifted and just filled it in. And if that's the case, it may not have been very far down.
Yeah, I'm reading Williams' notes in chat. He says estimates from 2007 were that 3 pits containing the Terracotta Army held more than 8,000 soldiers, 130 chariots with 520 horses, and 150 cavalry horses.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole lot of fake army.
All
Just is.
right. Well, everyone's heard of the Crying Boy painting. This legend around this painting is as grim as it gets. The story begins in 1985 when several mysterious fires occurred all around England. When the debris was sifted through, the only item that remained was an uncharred painting of a little boy with a tear rolling down his cheek in every fire. Whether real or not, a Yorkshire fireman was so upset that he talked with the Sun newspaper in England. They ran his story about how everything in the home was consumed by fire except for a painting of the crying boy. There were at times more than one of these paintings around, and each seemed to have the same effect. The home and all its contents would be totally destroyed, but the painting of the little boy would not show any signs at all of going through a fire. So basically, the newspaper began receiving telephone calls from people all over the area that had similar stories to tell about this painting. However, there have been reports of the Cry Boy painting being found in charred homes untouched since 1985 and as recent as 1988. So no one knows for sure who the artist might be and where he got the idea to paint a portrait of a crying boy, but the rumors are mainly, and the tale is still around. The fact is, beware if you find a beautiful painting of a sad little crying boy.
Wow. I don't want no crying boy in my house. Painting, that is.
Well, it just wouldn't go in flames. It wouldn't burn. Something's stopping it from burning. Something's protecting it.
But whatever house or building that was kept in wound up burning to the ground, destroying
Correct.
everything but that. Why?
And there was definitely more than one around. They were all over
Okay.
the place.
Did the person that painted these, did he curse them deliberately to cause that?
No one knows who the artist is.
And if so, why?
It's a good question.
Yeah. Okay, real quick, I just want to mention to everybody, you are listening to the Paranormal Graveyard. I am Roger Belt. My partner is Christina Corsetti, and we are talking about curse this and curse that, all kind of curse stuff and interesting.
We're just not going to curse.
Yeah. We appreciate everybody coming and watching and listening, and those in the chat room that are carrying on over there. William, thanks a lot for the questions or the
Absolutely.
comments.
Thank you.
Okay, Delphi Purple Sapphire. The curse of the Delphi Purple Sapphire was brought to light when the curator of a London museum uncovered the stone with a note attached about its curse. That's interesting. As early as the mid-1800s, when the stone was originally looted from an Indian temple, the stone brought poor health and financial troubles to its owner. For instance, when Arthur Edward Heron Allen owned the gemstone, who in the world would want to name that long? He had so many unfortunate things happen in his life that he threw it into a canal, only to have it returned after a drudger found it and knew that he was the owner. Now, ain't that lovely? He eventually sent it to the museum with the instructions that no one should touch it until 3 years after his death.
That reminds me of this book that I bought. It had a warning in it. It was like a cursed book that if you own this book, this so-called spirit would be in your house. And I have a kid here. I didn't need any trouble, so I threw it in the dumpster. And all I could think of is, oh my God, watch it be back at my doorstep when I turn around.
Either
That's
that
what
or
it reminds me of.
somebody might find it in the dumpster and take it home with them. And
Yeah, I don't fool around with anything that comes with a warning.
okay, I
But at
wonder
least
how did he know that it would be okay to handle it after 3 years?
it must say it on the curse because there was a note attached to it, but I don't know what the note said.
Well, it said that the note said that
We don't know what it said. I'd have to look that up.
I read it here just a minute ago. He eventually sent it to a museum with the instructions that no one should touch it until 3 years after his death. That was the note that was wrapped around the stone.
Yeah, but I'm sure I had more on there.
Yeah, they should mention that. I'd like to know why. I'm curious as to why they had to wait 3 years, and after 3 years, would the curse be lifted, or just curious questions.
I wonder where they uncovered the stone. I
I don't
mean,
know. Well,
I
it
wonder
said
if it was
it was
underground.
from a temple in India.
And you don't mess around with those Indian temples. I mean, especially like, you know, what do you call them? Indian burial grounds. You know, they're all cursed land. You don't want to mess with anything like that. So it was looted from an Indian temple. Of course, it's going to have some sort of curse on it.
Well, yeah, you know,
Um,
people have weird. What's the word I'm looking for? Uh, the way they think about things. You
oh,
know,
absolutely.
I'm sure they could. You know, they would when they built these temples or whatever, and they placed these in there. They would know that somebody would uh, want to steal them for the value, so they would do something to protect them. You know, you would think anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of those grave looters, you know, especially in Egypt.
The next one's interesting. If you probably remember it from the Titanic movie.
Is it the Hope Diamond, the Titanic?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the Hope Diamond definitely is cursed. It made its home from Smithsonian Museum. Originally stolen by a priest who was ultimately captured and tortured for his thievery. I wonder what medieval torture he got.
I don't know, but why would a priest steal a diamond?
Oh, I remember the nuns and priests got the Republican marriage. I remember that from last show.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but the Hope Diamond was also known by French gem trader Jean Baptiste Tefnerner. How's that? Who was supposedly killed by a random group of rabid dogs. Several other owners were also fated to die by murder or other tragedy. So whoever definitely got got the Hope Diamond, which I wonder how many people that actually traveled to. You know, I mean that's a gorgeous
Uh,
diamond.
there was something about it being sent by postal service to a museum.
Yeah, and that whole thing with the Titanic and dropping it in the ocean—that's just a love
Yeah,
story they made up.
they had to ad lib that movie to make it more interesting for people
Yeah,
that
yeah,
didn't
they
think
had a love story.
that didn't think a ocean liner breaking up, you know, that was supposed to be unsinkable, and the loss of, you know, over 1,500 lives wasn't exciting enough for them. Anyway, but I remember reading about it being shipped to a somewhere through by the postal a museum or something through the postal service,
Wow, would you ship that in the postal service? I'd,
and the
I'd hand deliver
postman
that.
that delivered it also had ill fate.
Oh wow.
Uh, okay, Black Orlov. The Black Orlov diamond, also called the Eye of Brahma, was stolen from a Hindu's shrine by a monk. Why are these monks and priests stealing diamonds? You know,
I don't know. And it seems like a lot of diamonds are cursed, huh?
really, the gem was passed down to multiple female owners, many of whom took their own lives.
Wow.
At least two of the women who took possession of the Black Orlov leaped to their deaths from a tall building. After the jewel was sold to a jeweler in New York, the curse is said to have been broken, which is good for fortune owners, but does no good for the previous victims of the stone's bad luck.
So that was a suicide curse.
Yeah, now why would a supposed cursed stone cause all this bad luck to people and then,
Look where it was stolen from, a Hindu shrine. You
yeah,
don't
but
mess
you
with
go
that
to
stuff.
a jeweler in New York and all of a sudden the
It's
curse is broken?
yeah, well, something broke it.
Just things like that are curious to me. Like, you know, how did it all of a sudden get broken just because it was sold to some gem dealer in New York? You know, usually when something is cursed, you have to have somebody that knows how to remove a curse in order to break that curse or get rid of it or what have you.
Yeah, William in chat has a good point. They stole them because they were the people charged with taking of them. Nothing is so tempting as temptation. It's true.
That is very much so, William. Thank you, sir. Barney stuff.
Well, getting off the diamonds now, we have an Irish curse, which is the Blarney Stone Rocks. I'm sure everyone's aware of those. A kiss on the Blarney Stone in Ireland is said to be good luck, but removing any piece of the stone will bring the curse of bad luck into your life. People report misfortunes that include depression, loss of employment, and financial woes. Much like the visitors who regret their cursed souvenirs, people who take home a piece of the Blarney Stone are known to mail it back within several weeks or months after they've realized it was cursed.
So, you gonna take you a piece of the Blarney Stone home with you?
No, I mean, I'd kiss the thing. You actually have to, I've seen this. You actually, I think you have to like upside down off a rock, like you hang or something like that off a rock, and you get the stone in Ireland. I've seen it.
That's the one that they put in the wall, right?
Yeah, yeah, you gotta, yeah.
And people will do
Kiss
that,
it.
supposed to bring them good luck or whatever.
Yes.
Okay. Iceman. The remains of a man estimated to be more than 5,000 years old were discovered in the Alps in 1991. In the following 13 years, 7 of the people involved with the discovery died, most of them suddenly, and not of natural causes. One of the people who discovered Iceman died in a car accident on the way to give a speech about the artifact, and another researcher died in an avalanche soon after. Other researchers died of causes that include a blood disorder diagnosed right after Iceman was found and a fall from a cliff.
Wow. So anything that came in its presence was just doomed. You
Well,
see this thing? You ever Google this thing, the Iceman? It was 5,000 years old.
I remember reading about it.
Yeah. Can you imagine, though, finding
Well,
something like that in the Alps?
okay, so you dig up a petrified, frozen man. When you thaw this person out, any uh, bacteria, etc., 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 is going to be exposed to the air. Anybody around it's probably going to breathe it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and therefore you're probably going to have sickness and death and stuff like that.
Well, Angela has a good question in chat. She said, how can a curse be broken? It depends on what type of curse it is. It depends, on the curse itself, but there are spells and stuff that you can do to reverse a curse, stuff like that. Like William said, curses are like spells, powerful and residual attached to a thing. Absolutely. There are different ways to break them, but it just depends on what type it is. But that was a great question.
Yes, it was indeed.
Now, everyone's heard of the Thomas Busby chair. I like cursed chairs. This is a famous one. Thomas Busby was an English drunk who sealed his fate when he murdered his father-in-law in 1702. For his crimes, he was gibbeted, which means he was hung in chains alive until he died, and left as a deterrent for other criminals. But rumor has it he didn't leave this earth completely. A chair that overlooked his execution site reportedly kills everyone unwise enough to sit in it. So during World War II, airmen from nearby base frequently, they came to this pub that owned the cursed chair, and locals noticed that soldiers who sat in the chair would never return from war. It wasn't just men going to war who died, though. In 1967, 2 Royal Air Force pilots sat in the chair only to die in a car crash shortly afterwards. 1970, a mason perched himself on the Busby chair, only to die that very same afternoon by falling into a hole. The following year, a roofer who sat in the chair died when the roof he was fixing caved in. So it's starting to get a pattern, and they're starting to notice that. And the pub's cleaning lady also fell into the chair and died shortly afterwards from an undiagnosed brain tumor. So, needless to say, the owner of the pub and the chair began to get a bit freaked out by the object, and now it resides in a local museum and it's nailed to the wall so no one can sit in it.
Wow. So I don't want to sit in that chair. Why? I don't know. Okay. On to more interesting things. How many out there have not heard of Annabelle the doll?
As one doll you do not mess with.
Bought in an antique shop in 1970, a woman gave a raggedy doll to her daughter, Donna, who was in nursing school. Donna and roommate Angie kept coming home to find the doll in different positions and different locations. Then the doll began leaving them notes reading help, and then they found the doll with blood on it. A psychic told them the doll was possessed by the spirit of a girl named Annabelle, who had died at the location where their apartment complex has been built. But the girl's friend Lou thought there was something more sinister about Annabelle and told his friends to get rid of it. That's when Annabelle went to visit Lou, levitated up his body, and strangled him until he passed out. The next night, the roommates heard what sounded like someone in the next room. Lou investigated. The girls heard him scream and ran in to find Lou with two massive claw marks on his chest, although no one else was in the room except Annabelle. The girls called Ed and Lorraine Warren, who decided the doll was actually a conduit to hell that a demon was using. Two exorcisms didn't work, and now the doll resides behind a glass case in the Warrens Occult Museum where it still moves.
Yeah, I love the Warrens. But this thing is behind glass, and I guess anybody that actually touches it is going to end up dying.
Or something bad's going to happen.
Something's bad's going to happen to them, yeah.
They, from what I understood, that museum room there, where they have all these possessed objects, they have to have it blessed and cleansed about every 3 months to keep.
To keep it, yep, absolutely.
To keep everything, I guess,
at bay.
out of harm's way.
Yep.
That's pretty wild. And they have a lot of things besides Annabelle in there.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, here's one that I've watched videos on and read stuff on and everything, and I'm sure you have too. The Dybbuk box, or Dybbuk box, however you pronounce that.
I would say it's the Dybbuk or Dybbuk. I would say the Dybbuk box. I could be wrong. If I am, I do apologize. But basically, the Dybbuk box is an evil spirit. Supposedly, a Holocaust survivor accidentally summons the demon while using a homemade Ouija board, but managed to trap it inside this wine cabinet. This guy, Kevin Manis, bought the box at an estate sale in 2001 and immediately started having nightmares about an evil hag, as did friends who stayed with him. Manis gave the box to his mother, who suffered a stroke on the same day. The box later owners have also claimed the Dybbuk box has appeared in their nightmares as well. Now, the last owner was Jason Haxton, and she was not only having nightmares, but developed a strange skin disease and began coughing up blood. At that point, Haxton contacted the local rabbi, sealed the Dybbuk box back in the box, and then hid it from the world in a secret location. Now, this is the movie The Possession. If you've seen The Possession, that is all about the Dybbuk box.
Yeah.
It is kind of Mary, I'm not sure if it is Jewish or not. Yeah, it is Jewish. It's a Jewish box. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, William says it is a Jewish mythology, is a malicious possessing spirit believed to be the dislocated soul of a dead person. And I guess anyone that comes near it, touches it, near it in their possession, they want nothing to do with this box.
Well,
So
from what I gathered and everything, having it in your possession that can cause, certain problems. It's not really horrible stuff. When you open it is when all the real havoc begins. You know what I mean?
yes.
The hands resist him painting. Never heard of this.
Oh yeah, it's another painting.
In February of 2000, an anonymous seller listed a mysterious painting on eBay, claiming it was haunted. In the listing, the seller claimed the painting had been found abandoned behind an old brewery by an art picker who the seller bought it from. One morning, the seller's 4-year-old daughter said the children were fighting and coming into her room at night. Included in the listing were photos from a motion triggered camera the family had set up during the following nights, which seemed to show the figures moving and transforming. The seller pleaded for buyers and viewers to be cautious of the painting and avoid showing it to children due to reports of extreme reactions such as sudden and violent illness, screaming, and the sensation of being grabbed by an unseen entity. The painting sold on eBay for, am I reading this right? $1,025,000?
Oh, $1,025.
$1,025.
Yep, $1,000.
You know, I understand people being drawn to stuff like this because it has a story behind it. But why would a person spend that kind of money for something that could kill them? I'll
Well,
never understand that as long as I live. It don't make sense.
well, it comes with a unseen entity, right?
Well, yeah, but
Avoid showing it to children due to reports of extreme reactions to sudden violent illness, screaming, and the sensation of being grabbed by an unseen entity. Um, you have to have this in your possession in order to experience these things. So, people stumble upon this stuff and they don't realize what's going on until it's too late. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's just that if a person knowingly buys something like this
If you knowingly buy something like that, then
and you're paying that kind of money, and that would be one of the things that would draw a lot of money because people like collecting things like that, even though, they put the I guess the dangers out of their head. They want to have it because it's possessed or it's this or it's that, it's got a haunted entity in it. What you name it. And they don't think about the consequences that can follow with that, just like the Dybbuk box.
oh, not at all. But if things start happening when you have an item that's recently been in your house, then you got to put two and two together.
Yeah. Okay. The curse of the, how you pronounce that?
Croesus.
Croesus.
Croesus. Treasure. So curse with the Croesus treasure known as the Lydian hoard. The Lydian hoard is a remarkable collection of artifacts, ancient jewelry and relics from the time of King Croesus, ruler of the Lydian kingdom between 560 and 547 BC. So the alleged curse basically began in 1965 when it was unearthed in a small village of Gur in a western province of Usak. The treasure was discovered when 5 villagers found a tomb of an unknown princess who lived in the Lydian era. The villagers ransacked the tomb, removing valuable jewels and anything of value that had been buried with the Lydian princess. The looters continued to visit the area in 1966. So 150 relics were removed from the location: gold jewelry, silver, even a wall painting of the tombs. But instead of the unimaginable wealth, the villagers and their families have been scorned with misfortune, death, and so the legend of the Croesus curse began. So that's another one. You know what I mean? You know, you have these people looting ancient, tombs where
Yeah,
you don't want to touch this stuff, and here you think, I'm going to be rich, but instead you end up being scorned with misfortune and death. It's like karma. It's karma. You
exactly.
don't
You
touch
got
this
no
stuff.
business in there.
You have no business in there. Absolutely.
The curse of the Pharaoh. This ancient curse is based on the belief that if a person disturbs the mummy of an ancient Egyptian, especially that of a pharaoh, he will be cursed. This curse doesn't discriminate, and it doesn't matter if the culprit is a thief or an archaeologist. Bad luck, illness, and death is the cost of disturbing the peace of a resting pharaoh.
Oh, absolutely.
There has been debate over whether or not this curse is real. One of the reasons many doubt the authenticity of the curse is that there can be scientific basis for illness and death. Bacteria, and that's what we were talking about, the Iceman thing,
Yeah.
that have grown in the underground tombs of the sleeping kings can cause irreparable damage to the human respiratory system. This can be the underlying cause of any death or sickness. There have been many reported versions related to the opening of King Tut's tomb. One such version is that Howard Carter found an unusual clay tablet in the chamber of the lost king's tomb. A few days later, cataloging it, these stories suggest that Alan Gardner deciphered the hieroglyphs. The tablet read, "Death will slay with his wings whoever disturbs the peace of the Pharaoh." Both Carter and Gardner viewed the curse as a warning to tomb robbers, but the tablet is alleged to spook away the local workers. All accounts of the mysterious tablet were removed from the documented records. The tablet itself disappeared, of course, never having been photographed or sketched, so there's no solid evidence that the tablet even existed, only speculation. The second version of the curse proclaims that on entering the second golden shrine, above the door read, "They who enter this sacred tomb shall swift be visited by wings of death." Of the 26 people present at the opening of the tomb, 6 had died. Of the 22 people present at the opening of the sarcophagus, 2 have died. Carter died in 1939 at the age of 64. Harry Burton died in 1940 at the age of 60, and Sir Alan Gardner died in 1963 at the age of 84. The tomb was first opened in November of 1922. No one knows for sure if the curse is real, but many people remain skeptical. While superstition and legend may be associated with the relics in this list, there are some people that may suggest that the curse to any given relic is real, and documented consequences are the living proof that some relics might be better off left hidden and unearthed. That's what we were saying.
Yeah.
Though numerous relics in the list have been considered great archaeological finds, the misfortune, illness, and death that has been linked to several of these relics could be considered coincidental, or are the mishaps and ill-fated fortunes a reflection of the curse that is associated with each relic? No one may ever know the truth, but many people throughout the world have left the impact of these curses at firsthand.
Yeah, you got to imagine the archaeologists that go in and discover this stuff. You don't know what you're walking into, touching it, opening it, but like you said, bacteria, stuff, you're breathing it in, illnesses.
Well, and you think about it, if the curse were real, why would an archaeologist think that that curse was there only to prevent tomb robbers and not archaeologists that's going to take the stuff out there and put it in a museum or something?
Yeah, exactly. It'd be anybody who enters the tomb. And
Anybody that
they're reading the words right there.
if you go in there and remove stuff from that tomb, you're disturbing
Peace.
uh, a person's grave, basically. So yeah, I think uh, it would be on whoever went in there and moved around and disturbed stuff, regardless of who they be.
Yeah, it's like a fine line when you come to Egypt and all these pyramids and what they're finding
Yeah.
and would you want to be on that end?
No. No, I think I'd leave them alone.
When you're dealing with ancient stuff, you know, especially things you find on the ground, you're disturbing it, and you never know. You never know what you can.
When a person, well, now they were mummified, of course, but still, uh, their remains, bits of it, mixing with the dirt, whatever's in there, and the dirt gets, you're walking around and you're kicking this dust up in the air and you're breathing it all in. So, you'd be breathing in bacteria uh, the remains of a dead person on top of whatever else might be, um, have grown in that environment where it was sealed up and, no air got to it. I could see that, being, you breathe that stuff in and it makes you sick and it kills you. It tears up your respiratory system.
Oh, absolutely.
And of course, anybody that knows you were in there and blah, 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 they're going to say, yeah, the curse got them.
Did I just hear an echo? Why did my echo?
And maybe it did, but, it would be hard to know for sure.
Is the echo gone?
I
There it
don't
is.
I don't know what this one is, the curse of 27.
I don't have sound. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. You not hear me? Hello.
I can't hear you.
Uh-oh. Okay, hold on. Do y'all hear me over here in the chat room? Hello, anybody hear me over here in the chat room?
Can you hear
Okay,
me now?
I hear you, yeah. Hey, drops. Okay, they hear both of us. Everything's cool. Okay, and we're talking about the curse of 27. Are you there? Christina? Christina? Hello? Okay, apparently she's not hearing me. Uh, okay, if you guys can hear me, I'm going to go ahead. She's obviously not hearing me. I don't know what the problem is. Okay. Uh, I don't know what's going on. The Curse of 27, also occasionally known as the Forever 27 Club or Club 27, is a name for a group of
I'm
influential
going to try and come back out and then, yeah, I can't hear Roger for some reason, so I'm going to try and come back out and come back in.
okay, influential rock music artists who died at the age
Yes,
of
my computer did get cursed, Mary. Bear with us. We're just having a couple little difficulty here.
The Curse of 27 is the belief that 27 is an unlucky number due to the number of famous musicians and entertainers who have died at that age. Robert Johnson, Jim Morrison, Brian Jones, Jimi Hendrix, Ron Pigpen, McKernan, Janis Joplin, Jonathan Brandis, Kurt Cobain, and more recently, Amy Winehouse are all believed to have been affected by the curse of 27. The number 27 has been said to follow and bring bad luck to people. They see it at random times throughout the day on the clock, on television, in phone numbers, math problems, and dates. The curse of the 27 Club. That's a new one to me. I didn't know anything about this curse of the 27 Club or what have you. Uh, we're still waiting on Christina. Hopefully, she'll get back in here in a minute. The Superman curse. What was the Superman couldn't have or made him weak? Oh, anyway. Most tragic is the case of George Reeves, the beloved Superman of the 50s television, who was the victim of a bizarre and unexplained suicide, or was it murder? In 1995, Reeve was paralyzed in a freak accident, which eventually led to his early death. And Kidder, by some sensational accounts, went mad. Was it the curse? Less well known is the unfortunate case of the first live action Superman, Kirk Allen. The legend goes that after a promising start, Allen's career spiraled downhill almost immediately after appearing as filmdom's first Superman. Some claim that Superman creators Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster were cursed with hardships after selling their billion-dollar concept to DC Comics for a mere $130.
All right, I can hear you again, Roger.
You hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Does the curse, perhaps associated with man's unnatural worship of false gods known as superheroes, befall those who attempt to mock the natural order by playing the role of Superman? Among all of the actors who have played Superman over the years, which is nearly to be a dozen, only two, Reeves and Reeve, encountered serious misfortune. And it must be said that Christopher Reeve turned his misfortune into an act of heroism that has been an inspiration to millions. Okay, funny, ain't it, that the two names of the two people that had the bad misfortunes are only different by one letter, Reeve and Reeves. I find that a little odd. Okay. Christine, are you back with us? Are you gone again? Hello? Hello? Apparently she's gone again. Gone again, gone again. Okay, the Kennedy curse. I need too much. Okay, you guys are still hearing me, right? Okay, William. Yeah, it is silly, but I thought it was odd that their two names were only different by one letter, and they were the two that suffered the consequences. Okay, so carrying on here while Christina's having a little bit of difficulty. The Kennedy curse. The Kennedy family is a well-known political and entertainment family that is both very successful and very unlucky.
All right, I am back.
Welcome back again.
Why, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, since you're back, you can do the Kennedy curse. I was
All
just
right.
getting started.
Did I miss the curse of the 27?
Yeah,
Where am I? All right, so we're down the Kennedy curse.
yep.
Okay. Well, we'll try and get through this one. This one is a little long, but everyone is well known, well aware of the Kennedy family. Why, thank you, William. And the Kennedy curse. Um, let's go down to what's going on. November 1963, the president and his wife were happily waving to a crowd in Dallas, Texas, from their topless limousine. Basically, 12:30 local time, 3 or 4 shots changed history. Most likely coming from the Texas School Book Depository. These bullets killed the president and seriously wounded Governor Conley. The shooter, Lee Harvey Oswald, who was killed himself shortly after, was in police custody. Some believe he did not act alone. Well, John Kennedy's little brother, Robert, looked to be on the fast track to follow his brother's footsteps. He was running for president when he was shot and killed by a man whose sole motivation appeared to be Robert's support of Israel. The shooting occurred in the kitchen of the Ambassador Hotel. Robert was unable to speak as if anyone asked if anyone was okay. 26 hours later, he died of his wounds. 1944, 3 years after Rosemary's surgery, Joseph P. Kennedy Jr. was flying over England when his plane was basically his plane exploded. He did not survive the incident. As a Navy pilot, he had been participating in Operation Aphrodite. The plane he was in was meant to be deliberately crashed into a target via remote. He was to bail with his crew before this happened. However, the explosive on board detonated too soon. 10 minutes later, he would have been jumping out. So that was definitely not good.
No.
4 years after Joseph's crash, another crash took Kennedy's life. May 1948, Kathleen Kennedy died in France with her fiance when their plane crashed. She was only 28 years old and a widow already. This was to be her second marriage. Let's see, June 1964, Ted Kennedy plane crash that killed 2 others. He survived with a broken back, punctured lungs, and other injuries. 1999, John F. Kennedy Jr. died when a plane he was flying crashed near Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts. It was determined that the crash was his fault. He was simply inexperienced. He was 38 years old. 2 car accidents in the Kennedy family would make it appear that they were cursing others while merely their presence. Ted Kennedy crashed his car into the water. His passenger was stuck in the car. When he fled the scene, she drowned. Whether he could have saved her life or not, he ran. And if he could have contacted authorities, it would have been, another matter of debate. But he took off. August 1973, Robert Kennedy's son, Joseph Kennedy II, was in a car accident. He survived, but the woman in the car with him was paralyzed for life. John F. Kennedy's wife, Jacqueline, had a female child on August 23rd, 1956. The child was stillborn. On August 9th, 1963, she had a son they named Patrick. Sadly, Patrick only lived 2 days. Ted Kennedy's son, Ted Jr., had his leg amputated on November 17th, 1973. He was 12 years old and suffering from bone cancer. April 1984, Robert's son David overdosed on cocaine and Demerol. He was only 28 years old. Another son of Robert Kennedy, Michael, died on 1997 in a skiing accident. He was only 39 years old. And on May 2012, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., estranged wife Mary Richardson Kennedy, hung herself at her home in Massachusetts. So as you can see, the Kennedys, God bless their souls, they have had a lifetime of death in the family, and they call it the Kennedy's curse.
Lots of unexplained incidents too. Okay, Robert the Doll. Once owned by painter Eugene Otto, the doll is allegedly cursed. Otto got the doll as a gift in 1906 from a servant who was supposedly killed. Oh, I'm sorry, not killed, skilled in black magic. Neighbors reported seeing the doll moving from window to window. Otto would scream at night and claim the doll turned over furniture. When he died in 1974, the doll fell into the hands of a 10-year-old girl who also screamed at night and claimed that the doll tried to kill her. Robert is now in the Fort East Martello Museum and Gardens in Key West, Florida, where guests can take a picture with him. A word of warning, you must ask nicely or Robert will curse you.
Yeah, Robert's one of my favorites. He's on my bucket list, and his face changes. They find footprints on the ground and dust, him walking around at night. He gets out of the glass cage. And if you ask if you could take his picture,
Yeah.
He might let you, he might not let you. And I guess there's like, I forget how it goes. But the thing is if you're gonna take a picture of him, you definitely want to ask, or they will say he will come and he will curse you. Robert's face, I mean, I love Robert to death, and he's just amazing. He's just amazing. But he is basically because of I want to say the maid or something really put black magic on him.
Yeah, there was a lot more to the story. Basically, the maid was in the backyard doing what the mother thought was a black arts ritual, and she fired the woman. And the woman made the doll and gave it to her son as a way to avenge what she did.
Yeah.
So yeah, and yeah, it's just Robert's just creepy looking. Period. When when you look, it's a picture of him sitting in a chair where he's looking like straight ahead or whatever.
Yep.
That is one creepy looking doll.
Angela in chat is actually right. Robert the Doll is the real Chucky. The movie Chucky, the movies were based off Robert the Doll.
Yeah.
That's where they got the inspiration from. So yeah, it definitely was right.
Excuse me, y'all.
We have the chairs of the Gothic Ballroom in Belcourt Castle. Now, Belcourt Castle is in Rhode Island, Newport, Rhode Island. And the castle was completed after 3 years of construction and opened in 1895. It now conducts ghost tours, and visitors claim that when they are near two chairs in particular, they feel chills. Some, when trying to sit in the chairs, feel resistance and even find themselves on the floor. So what happens is you go to sit on the chair and it just has this presence, this energy around it, and you end up being tossed off the chair.
Okay, well, I wonder if anybody has done any kind of ratings or something around the chair to see if if anything shows up.
I would.
Well, yeah.
That's just the paranormal investigator in me, though. I'd be like,
Yeah. That's the first thing I would have been doing is like
but as long as I don't die in that chair from sitting in it, this is not one of those death chairs, but it is something that
yeah.
they feel around this chair.
I would take some pictures, of course, and I would do some EVP work and see if anything popped up, and also do an EMF sweep and see if it spiked or anything like that. I want to know what kind of energy was around there, how strong it is, etc.
Well, there is more haunted in the Belcourt Castle. I have read about it, but there are more things that are haunted in this place. If anyone knows about the Belcourt Castle,
Wedding dress at Baker Mansion. Supposedly, the wedding dress of Anna Baker is haunted. In the mid 1800s, Anna got engaged to a man her father did not approve of. That's a lot of the cases back then.
oh yeah,
And had him sent away. The wedding never took place. The dress sat unused, and Anna later died an old maid. Since then, visitors of the mansion in Altoona, Pennsylvania, have seen the dress flutter in its glass case.
so that must be like an energy type of thing. She must be haunting the dress.
Well, and that's what I was saying. Basically, the dress was haunted, and I
So she's
don't
probably
think.
very sad that she never got married in it.
Yeah, I don't think if I were a woman, I'd want to wear that dress. To get married in or anything like that.
You hear a lot about those stories about when people, have a lost love or they never found their love or whatever. It's like an energy imprint that stays there. That's one of those cases.
Well, and that's also like you hear a lot of stories about spirits of women being found on like a widow's walk where their husbands maybe were worked on ships or something.
Uh-huh.
And they would be watching for them to come in and they never return, and they would, I guess, die of a broken heart and loneliness, and their
Yeah.
spirit would be seen on the widow's walk, watching for their long lost love or something.
Yeah, a broken heart definitely can cause a lot of pain, and that pain is where the energy lies.
Mira at the
Um,
Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel.
Yep. Now, there's a mirror at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, famous as the address of the first Academy Awards in 1929, as well as where Marilyn Monroe stayed as a resident for 2 years. The Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel is now a swank party place for Hollywood's hip crowd. While there have been sightings on the ninth floor, Cabana, Suite 213, and Blossom's Ballroom, there is a mirror that used to hang in Monroe's room that attracted most of the attention. When looking into this mirror, you might see more than your own reflection.
Or you might see her reflection.
Or, yeah, very well. I'm actually afraid of mirrors. I don't like having any in my home, as little as possible, just because I'm always afraid of what I'm going to see in them. And you know how mirrors are portals and doorways and
Okay, then we have another Mira at the Myrtles Plantation.
yep.
Known as one of America's most haunted homes, the plantation is supposedly the home of 12 ghosts. Not only that, but it's also reputedly built over an Indian burial ground. That would figure, huh? To make it a trifecta of terror, people were murdered there too. But it's the mirror that contains the spirits of Sarah Woodruff and her children that gets your attention. After their deaths, per custom, the mirrors were covered. But someone forgot this one. They are now trapped. Visitors have reported seeing handprints in the mirror.
Yeah, I do a
Now,
lot of haunted. Superstitions on mirrors in my haunted Salem. Um, But there's a reason why they cover them, and there's a reason why they get trapped in them, and that's one of those cases.
That I remember reading an article about that, and supposedly pictures of the ghostly children were captured outside the house, like running and playing or whatever. Uh, and of course, you know the story about the slave girl that poisoned the kids with the cake, and the wife.
At Myrtle's?
Cake or pie or whatever it was.
Well,
Was that?
Myrtle's plantation is very haunted itself, and like you said, it's on an Indian burial ground, so that's just you know that place is crawling with spirits.
I can't think of her name right off the top of my freaking head, but the master of the house had one of the other slaves cut off her ear because she was listening at the door to an argument with him and his wife or something.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Can you only
Anyway,
imagine?
yeah.
Well,
Okay.
well, they have what's called the Santa chair, and I guess this is a chair that supposedly claimed 13 lives. You'd have to Google this chair. 13 died while sitting in the chair, but the chair cannot be photographed. However, the research cannot confirm the deaths. So supposedly there's this chair out there, and I have Googled it, and you do see them trying to photograph it, but you can't see the chair itself. But I
Uh,
guess they claim 13 lives.
Bunk beds. A lot of us have had those in our house. If you had more than one child, you probably had a bunk bed.
Oh, I like the top bunk.
Yeah. For those of you who ever had to share a room with a sibling as a child, bunk beds are right for pranks, snores, and other discomforts. In 1987, Alan and Deborah Tallman from Wisconsin bought a bunk bed from a secondhand shop. Weird events then occurred: noises, a snowblower moving for no reason, and unexplained illness. They claimed their children's bunk beds were haunted and ultimately buried the beds in a landfill. It also aired on Unsolved Mysteries. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Uh, I don't think I would have buried them suckers in a landfill because they could possibly get dug up.
Well, I
think I
wouldn't
would have.
want my children to sleep in bed that is haunted either.
I think I would have burnt them rascals. Make sure there wasn't nothing left.
That's the thing. Can you burn something and have the curse of the haunting be removed? That's a
I
good
don't know.
question.
I don't know. Well, they say you can't burn a Ouija board.
Have you tried?
I haven't, but
Would
I've
you?
read where people supposedly tried to destroy them by burning them, and they would show back up in their house. Just saying.
I know, but I'm still over here thinking. I'm like, have you ever tried? Would you try? Would you try to burn one? I don't know.
Would
Yeah.
I wouldn't have one close enough to me to get a chance to try to burn it. Just saying. Okay.
Well, going into curse movies now. Everyone is aware of the Poltergeist movie. Basically, 4 actors who appeared in the Poltergeist films died within 6 years of the first movie's release. Um, Dominique Dunn, who played Dana in the first movie and died at the age 22 after being murdered by her former boyfriend. Julian Beck, he's the old guy there, the very scary man, the 60-year-old actor who played Henry Kane in Poltergeist 2, The Other Side. He died in 1985 of stomach cancer, but he's been diagnosed before and had accepted the role. Will Sampson, 53 years old, played Taylor, the medicine man in Poltergeist 2. He died as a result of the post-operative kidney failure in 87. But most infamous and enriching was the loss of young Heather O'Rourke, who starred as Carol Ann Freeland in all three Poltergeist films. In early 1987, O'Rourke was misdiagnosed with Cronin's disease, excuse me, during the course of being treated for this disease she did not have. O'Rourke became more ill and eventually suffered cardiac arrest. Her family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Kaiser Hospital, which had treated her for Cronin's rather than the actual condition, which was a bowel obstruction. That is part led to her death. The cause was eventually settled by the court. Um, but I'm trying to think how much hauntings was going on. I've read this so many times on
What about the
set.
little girl? The little girl, is that the one you're talking about? The
Yeah,
one that
Heather O'Rourke, she was misdiagnosed with Cronin's disease and she had a bowel obstruction. And because of the wrongful death, she ended up dying. Um,
Wizard of Oz movie. Actress Judy Garland became a cinematic icon after playing Dorothy Gale in The Wizard of Oz. But her personal life nevertheless proved rocky in the years after the film, including 4 divorces. A string of infamous insecurities, financial instability, and addiction struggles, she died of an accidental overdose of barbiturates at age 47. Any problems for the Wizard cast didn't stop there, and the problems didn't stop there. 4 months after the movie was released, Frank Morgan, who played the Wizard himself, was involved in a serious car accident. Though he was left largely uninjured, his wife Alma suffered a crippling knee injury that would plague her for the rest of her life. As his chauffeur was killed, Morgan died in 1949, never seeing the film become a staple of television and an all-time childhood favorite. Finally, both Uncle Henry and Auntie M met with bad luck following Oz. Charlie Greatwin, who played Henry, died in 1956, just before the film debuted for the first time on television. Clara Bandick, who played Auntie M, committed suicide at the age of 81 by taking an overdose of sleeping pills and putting a plastic bag over her head.
oh, what a shame.
That's sad, ain't it?
Very.
So troubled was the production of Wizard, there were a number of notable accidents on set while the film was being made. Several actors playing flying monkeys would accidentally break the wires holding them up and come crashing down to the set. As well, the actress playing the Wicked Witch of the West, Margaret Hamilton, was badly burned while filming a scene in which she explodes into flames. When Hamilton took time off to recover, a stand-in tried to replicate the stunt in her stead, only to be burned in the same fashion while filming the same scene.
Yeah.
That's uh, uh
Seems like a lot of it seems like the whole
yeah,
cast come to death over this movie, making this movie, you know.
but I want
Um,
a lollipop guild.
same thing with Rosemary's Baby. Um, Basically, director Roman Polanski, deeply unsettled film about a pregnant woman who may be in the thrill of a cult of Satanists, carries with its number of unsettling stories from behind the scenes as well. Most famously, 1 year after the movie's release, Polanski's own wife, actress Sharon Tate, was murdered by the Manson family. Additionally, the film's producer, William Castle, suffered from painful gallstones immediately following the film's production, eventually requiring a series of treatments and surgery. The film's composer, Christoph Commedia, Kamita, who also impacted by the curse. He died suddenly from an accidental fall. Castle later wrote in his memoirs that it felt like the movie Rosemary's Baby was coming true in real life, and that the cast and crew were being stalked by witches.
Wow. Okay, real quick, you guys, you are watching the Paranormal Graveyard with Roger Belt and Christina Corsetti. And we are now talking about curses involved with movies. And the next thing we have for you is The Omen. And I've watched that movie, I don't know how many times when it came out. The Omen is a film about a couple raising a child that may, in fact, be the son of the devil. So it's only natural that there would be some superstitious rumblings around the production to begin with, but the making of The Omen really was surrounded on all sides by tragedy. 2 months before filming was due to begin on the film, star Gregory Peck's son committed suicide. Later that year, when Peck was flying to London to make the movie, his plane was struck by lightning. A few weeks later, executive producer Mace Newfield was flying to London, and his plane was also struck by lightning. Newfield's hotel was later bombed by the IRA and was a restaurant where a number of the cast and crew were planning to dine. A tiger handler on the site was killed in a freak accident. Another plane hired to do aerial work on the film ended up crashing while working on another production, killing everyone on board. Even after the film was finished, strange troubles and tragedies seemed to abound. 8 months after working on the film, special effects consultant and designer John Richardson suffered injuries in a head-on car collision in Holland that killed his assistant. Liz Moore, a road sign by the crash, read Omen 66.6 km.
That was so weird.
Yeah. Richardson was in Holland working on the war film A Bridge Too Far. Along with a colleague from the set of The Omen, stuntman Alf Joint, while performing a standard stunt on A Bridge Too Far, jumping off of a rooftop into a large inflatable cushion below. Joint slipped awkwardly and was badly hurt. He later told friends he felt like he had been pushed. Rumors of the curse of The Omen have abounded for years, and director Richard Donner Newfield and others associated with the film eventually spoke in interviews about the superstitions. Actor Harvey Stevens, who playing young Damien in the movie, after Gregory Peck, both refused to speak about the curse for the remainder of their careers.
No, I said that was weird because did you hear that, Roger, when you were talking? I could have sworn I heard an EVP in the ears, someone trying to speak.
Wow.
It happened on a show I was with doing Lizzie Borden. We actually had some EVPs coming through over the air. And I'll have to look into that. So I just made a note during The Omen. I'll have to go back and check. It sounded just like we were getting some EVPs coming through.
You couldn't understand any of it?
No, I'd have to go back and listen to it. But I was like, whoa, did you hear that? I heard it.
Well, if you catch anything, you be sure to send me a copy.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to check it as soon as you process the video. I'll go and check it. But yeah, The Omen definitely had some issues about being cursed.
Tell us about The Crow.
The Crow is another one. Now, everyone's seen The Crow. Brandon Lee, son, legendary martial arts star Bruce Lee, as an anti-hero who was murdered by gang members and then rose from the grave to seek revenge. Only 8 days before the film was scheduled to wrap production, Lee was killed after being accidentally shot in the abdomen. Now, a metal tip from a dummy's bullet had become lodged in a prop gun that was then fired at Lee, who died from his injury at the age 28. The incident takes on creepy overtones when you consider the pedigree of Lee's father, Bruce, who died at the age of 32 from acute cerebral edema due to reaction to compounds present in the drug Equagesic. Bruce had also been filming a movie when he died in 1973, Game of Death. Well, a variety of supernatural causes have been offered for the early demise of both father and son. Many of these legends are tied to an early recollection of Bruce, who he describes as seeing a ghost looking like a black shadow, which held him down and would refuse to release him. It was said that when Bruce Lee's father died at the age of 64, Bruce himself had a premonition that he would only live to half his dad's age, 32. Some also speculated that Bruce, and possibly even his son, may have been a target of an organized crime.
Now, I've heard that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing about I think it was a deliberate murder.
Now, wasn't it that killed the son with the bullet that killed the son?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a rubber bullet, but instead it was replaced with a real bullet.
Somebody changed it and put a live round in there.
Yeah, that's that. Because obviously it wasn't an accident. It was premeditated.
Yeah. I hope everybody's enjoying this so far. I love stuff like this. The Twilight Zone movie, I love that movie. And then the especially the part where they're riding down the road in the car listening to Creedence Clearwater and the tape messes up and they start doing the thing. And he goes, "You want to see something really scary? You have to pull over."
I've never seen the Twilight Zone movie. Can you imagine that?
Really?
I'm a horror fan. I want to see this stuff. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Movie. Make sure you watch that.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it.
While more of an issue of negligence and misfortune, the deaths on the set of 1983's Twilight Zone, the movie, are worth mentioning simply for the bizarre nature of the whole story. While filming the one segment of the film that was not adapted from the original series, then up-and-coming director John Landis is rumored to have thrown aside all safety and good conduct issues to get the footage he was after. During the shooting of the first story titled Time Out, Landis reportedly decided to eschew safety regulations and child labor laws to get the shots he wanted. It was a late-night shoot of a scene where Bill Vic Morrow was rushing two Vietnamese children to safety as the village burns with warfare behind them. At 2:20 a.m. on July 23, 1982, the explosive sequence began, but a series of complications with the special effects crew and helicopter pilot caused the malfunction and crash of the helicopter. The downed helicopter killed both of the children and Morrow, who was reportedly decapitated by the blade of the helicopter. Ouch.
And that was on set.
I'm saying.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Several executive members of the production were tried and acquitted on charges of manslaughter in a 9-month trial in 1986 and 87. But it could be said that the curse of this horrible accident has followed the director since then.
Yeah, I guess they just keep having bad luck with the movie.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
But yeah, I love that scene about where they were listening to the Creedence and the tape got ate up in the tape player, so they started doing that stuff to pass it. I think at first they started out doing a guessing thing where one of them would hum a few bars from a television theme music and they would have to tell them what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point the passenger goes, "You want to see something really scary?"
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, well, you got to pull over. I can't show you unless you pull over. And I won't go any further than that because you ain't seen it. But
Yeah, I have to see it. I'll have to see it. Well, going back to another painting, the Anguish Man painting. This is the painting of the orange. It's all orange, and the guy, the man painted looks like he's screaming. He's got the black mouth and it's wide open. This is the Anguish Man painting. It's reportedly a haunted painting. Not that you would ever be able to tell by looking at it. Obviously, yeah, it looks like the guy's screaming. Uh, Sean Robinson from England inherited the terrifying work of art from his grandmother, who kept it in her attic, and claimed that the painting was cursed by the artist, who had killed himself shortly after completing it. Now, the painting reportedly causes black, shadowy figures to appear whenever it goes, and both Robinson's father and his son had fallen down the stairs in its presence. Robinson had been working with British spiritual investigators to try and learn more about the haunted painting, and some chilling things have happened when he has taken the Anguish Man to other haunted spots.
that's weird. What is it about paintings and stuff like that?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how they become cursed or problematic, or, maybe the guy's death after committing suicide after he painted it stayed in the painting.
That's another thing about when you buy art. If you go to an art show and you buy a painting, you don't know what you're getting. You don't
Seems
know.
like it seems like anything, right? It doesn't seem like it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, you know. Or if you go to an auction, a family auction where somebody's, the people have died or whatever, and they're auctioning off the property and all the stuff, and you might buy a piano
Oh yeah.
and
Oh
take
yeah.
that stuff home, and then you wake up in the middle of the night and the piano's playing.
Yep. The best things are in your grandfather's or grandmother's attics. That's
Yeah.
where you want to go play. They're in the basement.
Oh yeah. Okay. The Bassano vase. The Bassano vase probably originated in Italy in the 1500s, but it only really started causing trouble when it was dug up in 1988 with a note that said, "Beware, this vase brings death." Now, if I dig up something that says that, I'm throwing it back in the hole, throwing dirt back on it.
Yeah.
That's me. Unfortunately, the person who unearthed the vase decided to sell it to an auction house without the threatening note, and then people started to die. The
Without the
pharmacist,
threatening note. Okay, they sold it to an auction house without the note.
yeah, without the
That's
note.
not right. That's not right at all.
The pharmacist who bought it died within 3 months, and three more new owners bit the dust afterwards. Eventually, the Bassano vase was taken away by the police after a family who bought it learned of the curse and were desperate to be free of it. Rumor has it that the vase was buried in an undisclosed location, never to be seen again, and I would hope so.
Oh, I'm sure someone will find it sooner or later.
I'd put it back in that dang hole where it was found. Note and all, cover that rascal up, This is my opinion here. Who am I, though? Okay. Craigie Clare Castle.
Yep. Hold on. I was typing with Mary. I guess she wanted to know if a religious painting could be cursed. It was about 150 years old and passed down through her family, and she inherited it. Basically, I would say anything that you get like that, I would definitely bless it. I would definitely sage it. I'll have to do a post about how to cleanse anything that you bring into your home of its negativity and evilness. So I will definitely, I'm not sure if I have you as a friend on Facebook, but I will definitely get with you on that after the show. Istan abandoned castle, owned and ignored by Masons, carries a cursed history. Now, even today, a fair amount of mystery and intrigue surrounds this castle. While with varying dates attributed to its construction, no one seems to be certain of its history. What truth is reasonably certain, however, is that the structure was originally a summer lodge built by Bradford Lee Gilbert in the early 1880s. Now, the name Craig E. Clare is said to have come from Gilbert's wife, a Scottish native who was reminded of a small town by the name of Craig E. Clare in Scotland. After Gilbert passed away in 1911, the land and lodge was sold to Maurice Starnbeck before coming into the possession of Ralph Wirtz Dundas in 1915. Now, Dundas began construction on the castle soon after, but never lived to see it completed. In 1922, after Dundas' death, his wife Anna Maria Dundas, Lippercott, was committed to a sanitarium. Without ever having lived in the castle, after Anna's commitment, only her children by Dundas, Mariel and Wirtz, inherited the fortune that had been passed to her mother to her father. So soon she had a large portion of the fortune stolen by the castle's caretakers, who were acting as their guardians at the time. Eventually, she went on to get married and moved to England, where she departed with her husband on an expedition that eventually caused her mental stability to be questioned. Soon, she was committed, as well as her mother. Now, the curious history of the place, the tradition of ever endeavor put upon its failing, and its eventually abandonment has given rise to many legends about the house. Some say it's haunted by a ghost of Anna Dundas, who they claim was locked in an upstairs room. Others say that there are three hearted-shaped ponds on the property filled with blood on the full moon. There is no evidence that anyone was ever locked in any of these rooms, indeed. According to the history available, no one has ever lived there for any amount of time at all. Fact, however, cannot deny that the site has an atmosphere that can stir the imagination of anyone who sees the castle alone in its mountains with no company but the silent trees. So apparently, they claim it's haunted, but they're not sure if it's haunted. No one's really lived there. It's an abandoned castle.
Abandoned. Can I go?
Yeah,
Can I go there? I want to go there.
I want to go. I love abandoned. Every time I'm in the woods hiking or whatever, I see an abandoned place, I'm there. I'm
Yeah,
in it. I'm looking. I'm there.
I want to go. We need to go.
Haunted, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll find out.
Ancient sex curse of Cyrus. Sex curse discovered on ancient tablet in Cyprus. In 2008, archaeologists unexpectedly found a curse inscribed in Greek on a lead tablet from the old city kingdom of Amethyst on the southern coast of Cyprus. It was simple and straightforward. May your penis hurt when you make love.
Oh, is that? Yeah, that's actually that's the curse. Believe it or not.
The inscription dates back to the 7th century AD when Christianity was well established on the island. The tablet also shows a man standing and holding in his right hand something that looks like an hourglass. Pierre Albert, the head of Athens Archaeological School in Greece, believes that this curse may have referred to the activity of witchcraft or shamans surviving from the pre-Christian pagan era. However, the true reasoning behind the curse remains unknown, and it seems little follow-up research has been conducted. I wonder why. Now that one is weird.
They found a curse inscribed in a Greek tablet.
Yeah.
May your penis hurt when you make love. Well,
yeah, I won't elaborate any further on that one because we do have ladies present in the chat room.
oh, absolutely. The lava house. I guess it's another cursed place. Unfinished mansion allegedly cursed by volcano gods. Few people know how it got there, but it was the local teenager who christened it, thanks to a heap of lava rocks strewn above the property. Built by Jerry Gans in the 1970s, the Lava House chief architectural pull was its extensive use of imported lava rock. Construction stopped suddenly shortly after construction began, and it has remained empty to this day. Now, theories abound as to what made Gans stop construction, mostly concerning the cost of the lava rock imported, coupled with the enormous size of the house. Others claim Gaines was importing the lava rock illegally and was caught. Now, the most fantastic explanation involves the gods of the volcano from where the rock came, cursing Gans' workers for stealing pieces of its home, causing several of the constructors or the contractors to die in freak accidents and eventually halting construction.
Okay, now I'm
So there
sorry.
you are, taking the lava rock from the land, building it in the house, and it's cursed property.
I'm sorry, but lava god, really?
Hey,
You
a lot of
gonna
other
take
strange things happen in this world.
you gonna take lava rock from a volcano area where the lava god's gonna get aggravated and curse you?
How can you explain all the deaths after it happened? Hey, there's worse out there. There's worse things out there.
Okay. Well, now I'm throwing this out there just because if you are a Christian, there's only one God, so there's not going to be no lava god. Okay. Uh, if you're not a Christian, there may be a lava god. I don't know, but I don't know
It
lava
doesn't say
god.
where it is. It doesn't say what part of the country it's in.
Right, right.
You figure something like this is out there.
Yeah. Okay. Cursed memorial of Colonial Buck. Stone monument honoring a town founder has a witch boot shaped stain and a curse to go with it. During the early years of Buckport, ME, which is that
Maine.
ME, where's that at?
That's Maine.
Maine.
Bucksport, Maine. Yep.
My bad.
That's okay.
Okay, Bucksport, Maine. Its founder, Colonel Jonathan Buck, had a witch executed as they did in that time before she died in the bad end of it at the bad end of a hangman's noose. She cursed Buck to always bear the mark of that deed, and that prophesied mark is apparently a water stain in the shape of a pointed stocking that appeared on a monument honoring him 75 years after his death. Variations on the story live up to the tale. In one version, instead of hanging her, he has her burned and her leg falls off and rolls out of the fire at Buck's feet. In another, she wasn't a witch at all, just unfortunate enough to be pregnant with his child in a socially unacceptable situation. The witch execution an easy fix to his inconvenient problem. In yet another version, her already born and deformed son grabs the leg when it falls off and runs away with the relic, never to be seen again. Whatever the story, what Bucksport is left with these days is a pointy leg shaped stain on an obelisk of granite in a hilltop graveyard on Main Street dedicated to the founder of the town. It hangs right below his name like a stocking on a fireplace. A nearby sign explains the legend and the strange marking.
Yep, I actually seen this. The stain actually is there, and it is in the shape of a leg. You can Google it. If you Google
I've
Colonial
seen,
Buck,
I've seen the stone with the mark on it.
yeah, yeah.
Not literally seen it, but I mean I've seen pictures of it.
hmm
Okay, now you want to talk about perfection here? This
Well,
is the this is the last one on our list, and we got 5 minutes left.
yeah, that's perfect. Valentino's ring. Everyone's aware of Valentino's ring. Rudolph Valentino was one of the greatest silent movie stars of his time. That is until he bought a ring that seemingly screwed everything up. Valentino bought the ring from a jeweler in the 1920s. Legend has it that when Valentino showed the ring to one of his friends had a vision of Valentino as pale and lifeless. The next few pictures that Valentino was involved with flopped at the box office, and in the next 6 years, Valentino would be dead. But the story doesn't end there. Valentino's lover became ill after wearing the ring, so much so that it derailed her career for years to come. Now, Russ Colombo, who played Valentino in a biography about his life, wore the ring and died in a shooting accident just a few days later. Finally, a man named Joe Casino bought the ring but decided not to wear it until he thought the curse was lifted. But even after waiting several years to put it on, the curse remained. Casino died within a week of putting on the ring. Today, the whereabouts of the cursed ring is unknown.
Weird stuff, people. Weird.
Very.
Weird.
So there you
Oh,
have it. Cursed, all about cursed.
curse, curses, curse people, curse things, curse, damn it. Just saying. Y'all all know me. I'm like that. I'm liable to say anything. But had a lot of fun. A lot of people in chat tonight. That was awesome. A lot of good questions came up. A lot of good comments came up. We love that stuff. So be sure to come back and do it again next time.
Yeah, I want to thank everyone for the support. Next week, we have strange.
Say that again.
Next week, we have strange deaths.
Strange death
Yes.
or death. That should be really interesting. Anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed it, and thanks for coming. Thanks for all the participation. Mary Strickland, Megadoodle, William, Nicholas
is there tonight. Yeah.
thanks for coming, Nick. Paul Chadwick. Paul's one of my regulars, and Paul's a really great guy. Michelle Green. I can't think of everybody that's in there right off the top of my head, but many thanks to all of y'all. We appreciate it very much. And remember, couldn't do a show without you. So come back next week and we'll do this all over again. Anybody got anything they want to add? Christine, anything you want to say?
Well, like you said, I want to thank everyone for in chat and anyone who's listening. And we'll be back next Monday. Check us out on Facebook. You'll find Paranormal Graveyard. And we'll see you next week.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Sleep well. Enjoy the rest of your evening. A good evening.
Good evening.
Alfred Hitchcock. I love that.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
No problem.